Hi, welcome to week 4 of quarter 2, intermediate algebra. And right now this video is to help you do the 4.2 assignment. So let's take a look. The 4.2 assignment is called Slope from a Graph. And so what we need to do is kind of put ourselves into a new mindset because this unit that we're going to be starting on is going to be different than the last few units. So kind of, don't forget what we've learned, but prepare your brain for some new concepts, much more visual concepts. So for some of you, that's going to be wonderful. For some of you, it might be a little bit more of a struggle. Let's take a look here. There are 4 possible slopes that a line can have. They can have a positive slope, they can have a negative slope, a 0 slope, or something that's called an undefined slope. So we're going to start by looking at all of these lines that you see in here, and we're going to classify, which means put into categories, what type of a slope it is. So just like it says here in the instructions, remember we're always going to look from left to right when we're trying to figure out slope. So the way I remember that is that you would read a sentence from left to right, and so we are going to read a graph from left to right in the same way. All right, so let's just jump right in and try some of these. You'll notice that there is a little cross in the background here. That is the X and the Y axis. We're not looking at that right now, but it's just there to show you that you are on a coordinate plane. And we're going to look at line letter A first. And how I'm going to do this is I always want you to start in the furthest left you could possibly get, and then trace the line and say to yourself, is the line going uphill or is it going downhill? In this case, another thing that I like to do is I put a little person on the left-hand side of my line, and I say, okay, is this person walking uphill or are they walking downhill? Pretty clearly, I think here they're walking uphill. So up is a positive slope. So this line has a positive slope. All right, let's take a look at line B now. Line B, get rid of some of that stuff, is orange. Okay. So this one is pretty steep, but I could still draw my little person over here on the left, most left on the line that I can get, and you can see that he would go wee and slide down the line. Again, another way to look at it is you start as left as you can and you trace the line and you realize that your line is going downhill, and so that is a negative slope. And that's a big negative slope because it is very steep. The more steep, the bigger the number. All right, let's take a look at line C. Might be a little bit of a challenge to find some of these labels on the line, so do your best. The line C, the most left that the line goes is here. So I put my little person on the line and I noticed that they would have to climb uphill. That would be a very difficult climb, very steep uphill climb. So since we're going up, that is positive, and we would say positive slope. Something to keep in mind there is that, again, since it's a very steep slope, since it would be very hard to climb, we would have a large slope, a big number. All right, now if I put a little person here on line D and I had them walk across the line from left to right, they would not change at all. It is flat, right? They're not going uphill, they're not going downhill. So what that means is they have a 0 slope. The slope is going to be 0. Okay, let's keep going. Just a few more. I'll start to pick up the pace a little bit. Let's see. Line E is this black line right here. I'm going to put my little person here as far left as I can go on the line. And again, this person is going to have a hard upward journey. It's going to be a very, very steep positive line. So we would have a positive slope. Notice how it does not matter if I am starting in the negative area, right? Just because I start in the lower area does not mean that my slope is going to be negative. If you start in the lower area and have to go up, that's still positive. All right, F is next. So F, you know, it's my name, Frances, my first name. It's a great letter. Love it. I'm going to start on the left-hand side, and this person is going to slide down the line. They're going to have a not too steep, but fairly steep downward journey. So it is a negative slope. All right, last one for me before you guys try yours. And this is going to be line G. And so notice how this is just going straight up, right? And so if I put a person and they would have to climb straight up. They're not going, you know, it's not a slant. It's a straight up and down line. And so the way that helps me think about this is that this person's trying to go left, but they can't go left. They're hitting a brick wall. And so how we would describe that using slope is we would say that is a undefined slope. Undefined because it is unable, you're unable to climb the line because it is straight up and down. There's no way you can climb that hill. All right, you guys are gonna try A through G here, and then come on back and we'll do some more problems together. All right, I hope you're feeling successful on those questions. Here's where I'm giving you the password. So the password for this lesson is Benjamin with a capital B. And you'll see why when you watch the next video. It'll become clear why it's Benjamin. All right, so we're going to do these examples, and first of all, let's kind of practice what we just learned. I want you guys, before you try to find the slope using rise over run, which is what we're going to learn, I want you to look at each graph and decide if it's positive or negative first. So again, I can draw my little person and have them walk, starting on the left-hand side always. And I know that this person's going to be going up. And so I know my slope here is going to be positive. So I'm just going to put a little plus in the corner to remind myself of that. All right, I'll go through these kind of quickly. We have a line here, and I can see if I went from left to right, I'd be going downhill. So that one's going to be negative. This one, I'm starting on the left. I'm climbing up a hill here, and so that is going to be a positive slope. This next one, I'm starting on the left and I'm going downhill, so that's going to be negative. Again, starting on the left, I'm going to be climbing uphill, so that's going to give me a positive slope in the end. And then finally, this one's pretty flat, but it has a slight downhill, so that one is going to be negative as well. All right, let's go back and actually find the slopes now. So when we say rise over run, let's figure out what that means. Slope is the rise over the run. You might see some people say it's the change in y over the change in x as well. So what we need to do is we need to make a slope triangle. And how you make a slope triangle, it's like if you had to drive from your house to your grandma's house, you would have to take the streets, right? You couldn't just fly over all the houses and everything like that. So it's the same idea with a slope triangle. You have to take the streets, you have to stay on the boxes to get from one point to another. And now we're going to find the rise, which is the up and down part of the box. So our rise goes on top, and then our run goes on the bottom, which is the left to right part. So again, this is our up and down, and this is our left and right. So up and down, I like to use this strategy to count the sides, or to count the number of, or how long each of my sides of my slope triangle are. Here, I can say there are obviously two boxes, box here and a box here. So I know that my rise is going to be 2. Then going on the other side, I can see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 boxes going that way. And so I can see that my rise, which is the up and down, is 2. My run, which is the back and forth, is 7. And then I look back and I see here that I decided it was going to be positive as a slope. And so I just leave it like this because this is positive 2/7 the way it's written. All right, let's do it again. We have, and you can pick any 2 points you would like. You want to pick 2 that are closest to each other just to make it easier for yourself. I have to drive from my house to my grandma's house. There we go. I know that my rise, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 boxes. My run, 1, 2, 3 boxes. And so I have the rise is 7, or no, it was 8. 8. And then my run was 3. Now looking back, I see that before I started, I had figured out that it was going to be negative. So what you need to do is just put a negative out front of your slope, and then that's it. You're done with that problem. Let's keep going. All right, let's make another triangle. It does not matter which triangle you choose to make, but again, it's important that you try to keep those, keep the triangle between 2 points that are next to each other. You don't necessarily have to make it on things that are next to each other, but it's just helpful. It'll make your life a lot easier. So this is, the rise is 3, or the y, right? This is our y-axis, so this is going the same direction as the y-axis. That's another way to think about it. And then over 1, and now it's positive, which is great. Something that we need to do, though, is we need to realize how to reduce. So this is a good example for us to try. If I were to put 3 as a fraction, right? Close this, go away. If I were to put a fraction of 3 over 1 and press equal, it gives me 3, because 3 divided by 1, any number divided by 1, is itself. So we want to make sure that we're rewriting our answers as reduced answers. You can always put in your answer and double check that it's reduced. So for example, for the last one, 8 over 3 comes back as that. We want to turn it to fraction. It's the same thing. So we know it's fully reduced. Okay, let's keep going. 3 more. I'm going to go a little quicker here. We have a rise, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a run of 1. So rise is 5 over run of 1. I decided it was going to be negative. When I reduce it, I will get negative 5. So there's my answer for that one. Next one, we're almost done here. This one can be a little tricky because the triangle is so tiny. This is 1 box by 1 box on our slope triangle. So our rise over run is 1 over 1. I decided it was going to be positive. And 1 divided by 1 is 1. So we'd want to make sure that we entered our answer in like that. All right, last one is a negative, and this is our long, skinny one. There's 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So rise of 1, run of 9. We decided it was going to be negative at the beginning when we took a look at it. So it is negative 1/9. All right, you guys, good luck on your 3 problems that you have to do alone.